We are going to be the wall here in Wisconsin that's going to stop socialism because people are scared to death.
When I look at this race, it's not just about left or right or red or blue. This is about the have and have-nots. This is about right versus wrong.
We are seeing the power of a people power movement and what it can do.
Yes, the home stretch in battleground Wisconsin as voters head to the polls Tuesday to pick their next candidates for governor. And hello, everybody. Welcome to this second hour of tonight's big weekend show. Socialist Francesca holds a lead over David Crowley in the Democrat primary, but whoever wins will be locked in a tight battle with presumptive Republican nominee Tom Tiffany in the general election. Hong has been running on a radical platform, and it includes these things: abolish ICE, state-run grocery stores, legalizing marijuana, Medicare for all, and then this one attaching to those voters AI data centers. Yeah, she's also trashed American values, calling to end Thanksgiving in the since-deleted post, but now she's trying to clean up her mess. Check it out.
Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities.
My favorite holiday is Thanksgiving because I
there
love
you have it.
Yep. I don't want to cancel it. I actually love it.
Yeah, before it was her favorite holiday, it was the one she wanted to end. You might call that anti-American. But check it out.
I wasn't always aware of the struggles of other communities of color because for me, assimilation always kind of took over. And so I did marry my proximity to whiteness continues, right? My son is biracial. He's half white and half Korean, and I think navigating, what his identity is and how people perceive him is always at the back of my mind as well.
Yeah, that good old proximity to whiteness, man. You just got to shake it. All right, joining us for tonight's big close-up is Wisconsin Congressman and Republican candidate for governor, Tom Tiffany. Congressman, thank you for joining us. I know you're excited to find out who it's going to be that you're going to run against. The polls show you pretty tight against both of these candidates between Hong and Crowley. Do you think there's a big gulf there? Do you think either one of them will have this kind of radical left? Who would you rather run against?
Oh, whoever runs. I mean, there's not a dime's worth of difference, Joey, between these candidates, because if you look at the debates 2 weeks ago, none of the Democrat candidates would take on Ms. Hong and the crazy stuff that she says, like abolish prisons, abolish police. None of them would take it on. So you know that ultimately the leadership of the Democrat Party in Wisconsin, they are all in for this big government socialism. And we have to be the firewall here in Wisconsin that stops it right here in the heartland from spreading across America. And that's what we're doing every day, is delivering that message. And it is resonating across Wisconsin. Wisconsinites are deeply concerned about what they're hearing.
Yeah, I would be too, because, Thanksgiving is coming up. It's after the midterm, so we want to have somebody who celebrates Thanksgiving and truly means it. I know that you're going to have an uphill battle, though, Congressman, because of your proximity to whiteness, being that you are white.
Yeah, can't get away from it.
But in all fun and games here aside, I think that some of these Democrat socialists have been successful, at least within their party, because they keep hammering affordability, 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 but really demonizing corporations and people with money. And for some people, that is a winning message, however misguided it may be. But I do think that Republicans like yourself really do need to own the affordability message and not let the Democrats monopolize it. So how do you plan to do that in this race, regardless of who your opponent is?
Yeah, so besides Francesca's flip-flops that you see there, she's called for the highest tax rate, income tax rate here in the United States. It would be 4 percentage points higher than California. And so the message we're delivering is, let's end the 400-year property tax increase that led to the largest increase in property taxes in 30 years here in Wisconsin last December. Let's get control of our utility rates, which have been skyrocketing, $2 billion plus in the last 8 years. Let's get control of the red tape, and let's also audit all of state government. It is one of the most popular issues amongst people that I'm talking to at this point. Boy, let's root out the fraud and waste, because we know it's happening here in Wisconsin also.
Right about that.
And let me ask you, Mr. Tiffany, as far as your message,
beyond fraud. So obviously you're going to hammer home Francesca Hong, obviously being against not just Thanksgiving, but Halloween, 4th of July because she doesn't like fireworks, Christmas because she finds that offensive as well. That's easy, right? That's low-hanging fruit, and I'm sure that your campaign is going to try to exploit that. I guess the question is, outside of her wanting to abolish prisons and abolish the Senate, the presidency, that's according to the DSA platform, and obviously wanted to also make the Supreme Court look like the Milwaukee Brewers roster, in terms of the affordability question. Now, Democrats controlled the House, the Senate, the presidency back in 2021, 2022. They passed the Inflation Reduction Act. We saw inflation go to 9%, but now they're running on a platform that says, no, we're going to make things more affordable. So I guess my question is, in terms of the Republican answer, not just criticizing the other side, but what are your plans in terms of making things more affordable? Are they tax cuts? Are they other things that you're going to talk about during this campaign to really draw a contrast from an economic perspective between you and your opponent?
Yeah, for sure, because this is going to be a choice here in 2026 of, do we follow the route of Minnesota and Illinois into decline, or do we become one of the great states in America once again? Because this is a good state with wonderful people, but it starts with home ownership. And what's one of the key costs to home ownership? It is property taxes, and they are skyrocketing at this point. So let's get control of property taxes. Those things that nickel and dime every month, like utility bills, they have been skyrocketing. We need to get control of them. We also have a really heavily regulated environment in Wisconsin. It costs nearly $90,000 in regulations to build a new home. That's how much the cost of a new home is a soft cost of regulations. We're going to join Governor Youngkin tomorrow. He's coming into Wisconsin and talk about how we can reduce the cost of building homes just by reducing regulations here in Wisconsin. So we have a whole variety of things that we're going to bring to the table that says, here's how we're going to reduce costs for you so that you have more money in your pocket. Plus, we're going to bring you better jobs to Wisconsin by not raising taxes, reducing taxes, and reducing the red tape here in Wisconsin. You're going to see good jobs created in Wisconsin, and that translates to more money in people's pockets.
Interesting.
Yeah, Representative Tiffany, in addition to all that, when you go out and, you're campaigning, do you feel like you have to dust off your old history books and open them up and give people a lesson on what exactly socialism is? Because all of these young people, I think they have this, rosy-colored idea of what it is. Or do you feel like you need to tell people, actually, it's not so good?
There's a former president, Ronald Reagan, that said every generation you have to show people why freedom, opportunity, liberty, rule of law, private property rights, you have to educate the next generation. And I think one of the powerful things that we could deliver here, you see some young people that are falling for the siren song of socialism, is I think we should take, many of them were in college or high school, and think about what was stolen from them. What was COVID? It was big government on steroids. That is, I think, an example that we can bring to them that shows that big government socialism is not the answer. Let's get back to the basics, the founding of our country, which is all about freedom, opportunity, and then we have prosperity.
I love that you said that. I think that that's very important because it's a real world example that they lived through. So that's excellent. In a little time I have left with you, I just want to ask you about the AI data centers. It's something that we've been talking about a lot on the Big Weekend Show because Francesca Hong, besides all the crazy things she's talking about with abolish this, abolish that, she has made part of her platform a moratorium on these AI data centers. I think it's going to be a sleeper issue. Would you mind telling not only our panel, but the audience at home and in Wisconsin what your position is on the AI data centers?
Yeah, so no data centers unless they meet the following conditions. Governor Evers a couple years ago signed a bill into law that gives greater subsidies to the data centers. Average Wisconsinites should not have to subsidize the corporations that are building these data centers. It should not raise our utility rates, no non-disclosure agreements, full transparency, no conversion of our productive farmland, consistent with my position in regards to wind and solar. We should not be destroying our great farmland that we have here in Wisconsin. So we have those conditions in place, and also local input. We have to make sure that the local people that live near these, that they have a say in what's going to happen.
Love that.
Yeah, I would like call up Governor Kemp and let Georgia know about those prerequisites, because we're the second largest data center market right now in the world, and I don't think we have those, and we would like those. So, Congressman Tom Tiffany, thank you for joining us tonight, and we appreciate it.
Thanks for including me in your Sunday.
Yes, sir. A lot of places we can go with that. We can start with Tommy, because you keyed in on it and I liked it. He talked about how reminding young folks of COVID might be a good way to combat the growing desire for socialism.
Yeah, just saying everything is going to be cheaper. First of all, that's a lie. But also saying, hey, remember when they took away all your rights and your freedoms and you had to go to class in a mask? Or you couldn't even go to college, by the way. You were paying for it to be online. So I think that's great. I really love that he's got not only just a Wisconsin down-home personality and demeanor, which I, being from South Dakota, can appreciate, but I love the fact that he's addressing things that really matter in Wisconsin. I think that the Republican candidates that are going to do the best in these states, whether it be Michigan or Wisconsin, is they bring everything hyper-local about what their state is concerned about most. And I also love his answer on the data centers. I wish more Republicans would be very forthright about it. I think it would help a lot of Republicans combat what I think is the left's messaging on just a complete moratorium. So I like what he had to say. I think he's going to be great for Wisconsin.
Anita, one thing I find different is, we look over at the Michigan race, and El Said versus Haley Stevens. Their polling against Mike Rogers was vastly different. Rogers was neck and neck, if not losing to Stevens, but way ahead of El Said. Now you've got these other two states. You've got, let's talk about this one. So you've got Wisconsin, where he's actually polling about the same with both Hong and Crowley, and Crowley's considered to be a more establishment candidate. Record may not show that. I wonder what the difference is there and why Wisconsinites are responding differently that way.
Well, I think that's going to change when they get a debate going because he's obviously a very experienced politician. And, for him to bring up the example of Ronald Reagan, I thought was very interesting. Republicans are going to love that message. I don't know why they're polling so evenly right now, but I suspect that will change as the general election nears.
Yeah, Joe, the other state I was thinking about was Minnesota with Michelle Tafoya. She follows both of those, with Flanagan being a very far left candidate. She follows both of them by about the same. So you've got Wisconsin and Minnesota, where it really doesn't matter how far left the Democrat candidate is, the Republicans are falling behind. And then in Michigan, people could kind of see the contrast. Right.
And Minnesota is probably the most liberal state in the country. And I only know this because the last time a Republican won there as president was 1972. In other words, Reagan won in California in 1984, and he won in New Jersey and all these blue states. But Minnesota is the last bastion as far as liberal politics are concerned. They elected goofy Tim Walz, so that's when you know that that's a big problem. So, yeah, I think in the end, I can't see Francesca Wong winning in Wisconsin, just because Trump won there twice. And what I just saw out of Tom Tiffany was somebody who's very common sense, down to earth, not controversial, knows his stuff. And I can't see the girl who opposes Halloween, Christmas, 4th of July, and Thanksgiving winning in the state where the Packers are home.
Yeah, I just hope there's still a lane for someone who isn't flashy and hyperbolic to win an election. And I would exactly. I'd see Tom Tiffany
right about that.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.